Hi everybody, I'm Phil Dejean here for the interactive Dare2Draw at M&N. First off, I want to introduce my co-host, colorist and artist, Zeea Adams.
Hey guys.
How you doing, Zeea?
I'm doing awesome. I can't wait to see what happens here today.
All right, very good. Hey, tonight's format will be 2 parts. So everyone, welcome to the interactive Dare2Draw here at M&N. Tonight, you're going to get a chance to meet some cool people here at the studio. There's going to be a chat with our amazing mentoring guest artist to get you loose for tonight's Quick Draw Challenge. All right. Everyone who's ever held a comic book back in the days have read the ads and knows of the Joe Kubert School. So our special guest is the new owner. So let's give it up for Anthony Marques.
That was incredible. You got my last name right.
Luckily for cutting and pasting, we're done with that. All right, so thank you so much for coming.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
All right, I got a couple of questions here for you, but I'll just throw it off the top. So now, let me get this straight. Now, were you originally security? Or did I read that wrong?
Well, it started off I was a student.
You were a student.
And then I didn't have a job. You know, I was trying to find some extra things to do. I remember sitting down with she was my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, and she was like, Anthony, you need to find some extra work. Do a little something. I said, all right, sure. And I was like, she's like, it's not just gonna fall out of the sky. I said, all right, well, we'll see what happens, you know, let me see. And I remember walking through the hallways and somebody that was working in the office said, hey, you want a job? And I said, sure. And they said, we need a security guard for the school. You just gotta sit in the front. And it worked out great, and I took on the position, and I did that for a while, and that was the best job ever. I don't know how much you want me to elaborate on that.
No,
but,
I'm curious. Did people like trying to bum rush the school or anything like that?
No,
Like,
it was great. The school was always wonderful. You never have to worry about that kind of a thing. But it was incredible because it gave you extra access to all of the teachers. So I was there longer than any of the other students, so I'd always be able to talk with Fernando Ruiz, I'd be able to talk with Andy Kubert, Adam Kubert, Joe Kubert, all of the teachers.
So
they were
had
all
their
there.
ear.
And so Joe was wonderful because I'd have to be there on Saturdays as well. So when all of the other students were back home, I'd still be at the school and I'd get to see Joe, and I'd bring over all my different roughs that I was working on, and he'd bring me into his office and he'd sit me down, and he would just put it down on his drawing board, and he would take a piece of tracing paper and put it on top, and effortlessly would do this masterful drawing. It was incredible to see. And but you would learn so much just from sitting there and talking with him, and he would explain everything. And he was a wonderful teacher, and that was an incredible job, and I love it.
Well, then how did you get to move from that position to now being in charge of the school? How's that going?
Long story.
All right, we don't have enough time for that. But just give us a
I'll
little.
summarize as quickly as possible. So start off with the security position, and then there was also Telegraphics, which was doing preventive maintenance monthly for the U.S. Army.
Right,
so
that's like Will Eisner.
Will
was
Eisner
involved
started that, and then eventually Joe Kubert took on the contract and was doing it, and that was his own production company. They did other things as well.
So that was for the Army.
It was for the Army, but they did other work as well. And so I started drawing backgrounds there with other artists, and then you'd have to work with Joe directly, and he would kind of teach you about how to tell a story in nothing more than like 2 panels, and he would teach you about forced perspective and just basic anatomy and things like that as well, and it was incredible. So I started doing that, and then the convention coordinator left, and then I wound up taking that position at the school. So then I would start traveling everywhere and started to learn everyone in the business that way. And from that point, a position opened up at DC Comics, and I applied, and I became an editor at DC.
Wow.
And then when my wife she was pregnant with our first child, and the same day that I found out, I got the news that they were moving to California. So that was lovely. So then we decided to stay, and I came back, and the school was great, and they let me come back and teach. And I got to work with all the students for a while, and that was incredible. And then I started working on The Shadow while I was at the school. Then I went on to then I went to Dynamite and became an editor artist there.
Wow.
And worked there for a very long time. And then I took on a comic shop as well.
Right, I heard you have what's the name of your comic shop?
Dewey's Comic City over in Madison, New Jersey.
You heard it here, folks.
Yeah, it's a wonderful shop.
Represent.
It's been around for 28 years. I've not owned it for 28 years, but it's a lovely, lovely business. I really enjoy that as well. And then, with the school, I had heard some rumblings, and then, we talked with everyone, and it presented itself, and it's really important to me that the school stayed where it was, and carrying on Joe's legacy and making sure that it helped to further on this medium that we all really love. And it's very important to me, and it's very special.
You want to maintain its integrity.
I wanted to maintain that. So
the family's still involved, or it's just
Andy's still there. He's on our academic advisory board. He also teaches a special course that's specific to DC Comics.
Wow.
So we have actually it's a portfolio project. So one of the things that we've heard is that DC no longer actually sends out editors to the schools. So what we have is a special script that's provided to us from DC. And Andy comes out and teaches how to break it down and how to draw it and work on it. And once it's all complete, he actually takes it back and presents it to all the editors. And it's something really cool that we developed this year and put into the school.
Wow, that's amazing, because Joe Kubert's school has always been doing this thing where we were showing this before. Like early on, this one was put out by Pacific. This is the First Folio. Can you tell us a little something about this one?
Well, I believe that was something that Joe had put together with the students, or this might have been something a little bit different. And then that one that you're holding there was done through Dare2Draw.
Dare2Draw,
might know about
this very
that.
show right here representing.
And that was put together with a bunch of other students and fantastic writers such as Amy Chu, who's also an instructor at the school now. She's a new instructor there.
Right.
So it's
and
great
Steve
stuff.
Root, all representing. This third-year students.
Yeah, so there's some great artists that are actually in this. If you take a peek through, you'll see some early Andy work and some Adam work as well. And this is always a nice little find. If you go to your local comic shops and you do some digging, you can usually find one of these. So that's always a lot of fun.
Right on. Okay, so let's see. Let me slide on over and ask you some more stuff. Now, as a comic shop owner, I guess you really have a vested interest here in good comics being put out and the artists doing that. So can you talk about what are the comic stores like? What is popular in it right now? And what are you looking for in the comic artists?
You're always going to have popular things such as your Batman, Spider-Man books are always going to sell. The big two do a very nice job of putting out mainstream titles that people are going to want to pick up. There's certain things that I think that can be improved in the books, and I think that that's something that the Kubert School is very good at, and that's in terms of teaching about storytelling and the narrative artwork and just overall quality. And I think that is something that is lacking a little bit in today's comics. They're beautiful pages, they're very good illustrators, but they're not necessarily storytellers, and that is so important to comics. There's a big difference between being an illustrator and being someone that can convey a story with the pictures. And I think that that's what's great about the Kubert School, is that that's what we teach. That's what Joe created. That's what he was a master at teaching, and he was a master at doing as well. And so we still take that philosophy and we teach that to the students, and that's what this industry needs more of.
So this is like the comics legacy.
Yeah.
So to do this thing. All right, hey, all right. Now, what challenges have you seen in artists? Do you see a trend towards in the indie world too? Are you guys able to teach some of that? Like some kids might be this, they're not necessarily looking for the superheroic stuff, or some kids might be looking for manga, some kids might be looking to do different things. You guys could help any kind of comic artist.
Any kind of comic artist. And I think it's very important for people to realize that it's not just mainstream superheroes and horror type things. There's a whole other world. You start thinking about the book markets that are out there as well. Those numbers sell huge. They're huge. So don't ever limit yourselves to just mainstream comics. And I'm just thinking, what I mean by that is when you just go to a comic shop and you see everything that's out on the shelves or in the back even, don't limit yourself to that. See what else is out there in the world. But you still need to have a good understanding of how to tell a story with your art. Okay, so whether you want to draw cartoony or if you want to draw super realistic, that's great. You can still do that, but you need to have a good understanding of how to tell a story. You need to understand the human figure, because whether you're drawing something realistic, cartoony again, you need to understand proportion and how to place it and dynamics, and that's what we do. Okay,
so now here's a thing that I checked out. It says that the Joe Kubert School, is it true that 95% of the graduates from the school end up working professionally?
It's a 95% rate yet. That's correct.
Are we talking Marvel,
now,
DC here?
It doesn't
or?
just mean Marvel and DC. It just means they're able to get work. So they're working. So they're able to go out there, find work, get a job, and do actual artistic work.
What can they do to make those odds better? Because we got a whole bunch of people up in here right now. They're all asking that question: what to do?
Well, on top of teaching just art, it teaches you how to be a professional. You know, I'm sure you're always going to hear, "Oh, you need to be really nice. You need to hit deadlines," and you know the big three.
Yeah.
And then, but it teaches you how to interact with an editor. Something so simple as that. You know, how to contact them, what to do, how to find out how to contact them. How to keep your contacts hot, how to keep going after them. And it just really hammers that sort of thing home. That's why we actually overhauled our entire business courses to make sure that the students got a really good understanding of how to conduct themselves as a professional in the industry and go after these sort of things. And I think it's really going to pay off.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people that they have a lot of artistic talent, but when it comes to the business side, not so smart. And so I was thinking, what's your opinion on like the Creators Bill of Rights, making sure that creators don't get ripped off by companies like, you know, you think of like a Jack Kirby or a Siegel and Schuster or something like that, you know what I mean?
Well, you need to be really aware of what you're agreeing to whenever you sign a contract or anything like that. And it's a hard choice to make, especially for freelancers or anyone that's in the sort of creative fields. I'm talking about across the board.
Right.
Because, you know, it comes down to a lot of times is, do you want to do the work? Is it something that you find rewarding, but do you really want to give up everything? So it's really a very personal choice a lot of times. And I can always give advice on what I would do, but what I would do is what I would do.
Right.
You might be completely different with your thoughts. So I can give you the best advice possible from my point of view, but at the end it's still a very personal decision that you're going to have to make.
Do you ever see anybody that has like an original idea that it's like, you know, that they have that, you know, because I think of like the example of like the Mutant Ninja Turtles. I saw like that they were like selling that for like $60 million. I was just like saw that, I almost fell out of my chair.
I mean, that's the dream.
Yeah, that
you know,
is
I
the
mean,
dream.
everybody wants to sell something for $60 million, right? But I mean, the reality of it is unfortunately not everybody's going to sell that idea for $60 million.
Sure.
And that's just, you know, the sad truth of it. But it, you know, you have to be realistic. You know, don't go into things just, you know, willing to just get rid of it for no reason. Try to work out a good deal where you're protecting yourself, but be realistic, understand what you're doing, realize that it's probably not going to be the next Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
True.
But protect yourself.
Right on. Here's a question for you.
Uh-oh.
No, it's not a bad thing. Now my question is, now that you're here and you're in charge of the school, what is the plans for the Joe Kubert School of the future?
Oh.
Yeah, what you got going on there? What you got brewing?
So we've already started some really great things. We've started doing master classes at the school. So we've had Lee Weeks, who comes out every single month, Klaus Jansen. We had Joe Prado, Maria Sinapo, Marco Santucci. Oh my goodness, it's been incredible. So every single month we've had some wonderful instructors come out. We do these special master classes with the students, and it just gives them an extra thing to kind of help learn some other facets of the industry, and we do a nice panel with them, and then we also have them teach as well. We have also been doing the new DC project that I was mentioning before with Andy, so that's completely new. That's something that we just implemented into the school. And then we also have some really big plans that should be announced shortly after New Year.
Oh, you're sure? Hey, I think this will air after New Year. Can you give us a little hint, just a little something?
I mean, as of right now, you know,
there was some stuff online
a little
that
history,
I saw.
a little bit of history.
Okay.
You know, it started off as a 2-year school.
Oh.
We're currently a 3-year school.
We could do the math on that. Okay,
You know,
okay.
there might be a nice little big announcement about something fantastic coming that way. But it's going to be more geared specifically to what the student wants and try to help them bring whatever projects or goals that they have to fruition a little bit clearer in a much more smooth way.
All right. Now I have a question about accreditation. You know, how does accreditation work? Because as a school teacher myself, it's like, can kids get there and get that degree and like utilize that and a thing?
So, well, that's another thing that we have coming up that we have a really big announcement for. That one I can't really talk about too much.
Okay.
But we have some really big news that should be announced, I'm hoping February, March.
Okay.
And that's going to be a real game changer for us.
All right.
But the way that it is now is our credit system is you can take some of the credits and take them to a school and apply it, but this will be even bigger than that.
Nice.
So that's going to be an incredible thing for us, and I'm very, very excited about that.
Come on, come on.
I mean, the writing's on the wall right there.
You want to say, come on, guys,
you need to be able to dig into that one.
Come on, yeah, tell us.
It's some really.
Come on.
See, they're not really clapping. No.
It sounded like clapping over here. Come on, yeah.
That's just a sound.
People are doing that clap over here.
No, it's gonna be really great. That's all I can tell you.
All right. Now let me ask. Now, you guys are you guys in Dover, right?
We are in Dover, yes.
So now, is there any chance that people, because there's people around the world that are looking for something like this. Is there a chance the school expanding past this?
Well, in what way?
Okay, all right, I see what you're doing. All right, so in a way that there's people that are in other countries, other states that they don't have access. There's people with artistic talent, all right, but they're not in New York or they're not close to Jersey. They want to be able to do this too.
I agree. So currently what the school does offer is they have correspondence courses, okay? So what it does is it specializes in, I believe, in 5 different subjects, such as horror, superheroes, things like that, inking. But we are looking into online programs, which is very big. That one I could talk about pretty openly because it's still very early. It's something that we do want to develop. So I don't have a definitive date. The other ones I have very good ideas of when it's coming.
When's it coming?
The online courses are something that we are looking into, though, because I do think that that's a wonderful way to get it out in front of people. And like you were saying, there's people all around the world. We get a lot of emails, we get a lot of letters from people that are really looking into coming to the school, but they might not be able to commit to that sort of travel. And this is something else that they can do. We're also overhauling our evening courses. We offer those, and that's going to become a level-based program, so this way you can actually work your way through.
Is it age-based or is it talent-based, or how does that?
No, not talent-based. So what it does is you'll start off with sort of basic drawing, and then you'll intro to inking and different things like that, figure drawing, and you'll work your way through the levels that way. And this way, it's a nice way for people to come through the school that might not be able to commit to a full 3 or 4-year program, and then this way, then they can kind of develop their own shorter courses, but get a really good understanding of what we offer.
All right, yeah, because also you're a dad, right? And say, for example, if your wife is this talented artist and she's taking care of the kids or something like that, and she wants to get up there and wants to do some stuff, how is she going to do that? And taking care of the kids, she could do it online. So that
there would be the online courses. There's the correspondence courses, or you could take the evening ones. And we also offer
correspondence courses. You mean the old school one, draw the turtle kind of a thing? But
I wouldn't go that far. This is much better than that. But what we do is you get the correspondence course and you mail it back and forth with the school, and we have an instructor work over your assignment and give you real feedback and let you know what you're doing right or how to improve it. And that's always a really cool thing. But then we also do offer Saturday morning classes, and that's more geared towards kids. It's a lot of fun, but it starts to kind of build up what they need to know, the basics at a young age. This way, as they get a little bit older, they can kind of progress and then hopefully come on into the school or take those evening courses that I was talking about.
Wow, that sounds like an amazing thing. Is there anybody that would be interested in stuff like that? Am I throwing it out here? Am I nuts?
No, it's a lot of fun, honestly. It's funny because I want to talk to everyone.
No, here. Keep it over here. Keep it over here with me.
It really is a lot of fun. It's exciting. You see the first year kid, because I can talk about this from different points of view, from being a student or just being a teacher.
You've been all these different things.
And it's really incredible to see the change over the course of the years. From my own point of view, when I came in, I thought I was all right. I was pretty happy with where I was at, but it's nowhere near where I was by the time I graduated. The growth that you make as an artist is incredible. It's very, very challenging. I don't lie about that at all, and I try to be very upfront with people. You have to understand this is very challenging. This isn't something that you're just going to show up and you're going to sit down and kind of halfway work your way through it. No, if you're coming to the school, you're going to get a lot of work. It's a lot of work. There's 10 classes a week, 2 classes a day, and it's a lot of work. But as you work through it and you get to that other side, you will become a better artist. No doubt.
This is like a muscle. You have to work out that muscle.
It is, yeah. There's that old saying, you have about 10,000 horrible drawings inside of you. Yeah.
Right. They call it the boot camp.
Yeah, it's really like a boot camp. But I always really enjoyed that as a student. I thought it was like a badge of honor that you made it through. You know, I think that's something really incredible and something to be proud of. And I mean, look, the school's been around it's going to be 45 years.
Wow.
So it works. It's proven. The results are there. So if you come and you have that desire to really become fantastic at what this medium is, and you want to become a good storyteller, and you want to become a good artist, this is the place for you. But you have to be prepared to work.
Right on. Oh, yeah. What the heck? I just learned this. There's a dorm?
Oh, yeah.
What the? I am just learning. I thought this was one of those things where like I would just commute to the school, but
oh no, yeah. So the dorm is actually the original school.
What?
So when Joe Kubert started the school, it was we call it the mansion, but it's actually the Baker estate. The Bakers were a very prominent family in Dover many years ago. And so what it is was the Baker estate, the mansion, and so that's where the majority of the students all live, and then there's also the carriage house where the other students live. And it's on 6.5 acres of property. It's beautiful, and all the students come there, and that's where they live. You can commute if you'd like. You know, and then there's a bunch of other places that you can live to as well in town where there's different apartments and whatnot. We can always recommend that. But we think it's a great idea for all first-year students in particular to stay in housing.
So you basically have, it's like a school for mutants, but
I was gonna
all
say,
comic book artists?
It's
and you're the Professor X of this thing. I get it now.
That's why I'm bald.
Wow. This is, seriously, this is literally blowing my mind.
No, it's
here.
great. Look, it's just a great experience. And that's why, look, I really believe in it. And I try to tell everyone all the time, look, if you are interested in this sort of work, you want to get into comics, you want to get into commercial art, this is the school for you. Okay, you can go around, you could talk with other students, you want to put your artwork up against the students at the Kubert School, we're all for it. Let's do it.
You guys are like the Hogwarts of...
I believe in it so much that I would be more than glad to say, put your art up against any of my students.
And then all the people that you'll be hanging with, those will be the comic book artists of the future.
They are. That's what we're developing.
Yeah, so it's like,
we have all the companies come out to our school.
They're scouting you guys.
We do that, but they all come out. We have about 14 or more companies a year that come out to the school. And it's not just comics. It's also, we have different card companies. We have advertising companies. We work on different ways to get the students jobs and other things. Like right now we're doing a nice thing with some clothing designers and whatnot, which is really cool. So it's not just limited to comics, but it's so important to us that we get our students out there working. So when you talk about the 95% rate, yes, because we want them to work. It's very important to the school, and it's important to me and to the original owners that they were out there working, because that means that we're doing our job and getting these kids out there and creating. And that's what's so important right now, especially in the world that we're in. We need to create and come up with some really cool stuff to make everyone happy.
That sounds beautiful, but now I want to bring it back to the folios. Like, how will you guys? How do you like show off the skills? How do you show the work? Like, how do people get to see this?
Well, we just did something really wonderful at the school. For the first time ever, we had a gallery event, which was really cool. And we did a nice showcase on the faculty. But what we're planning to do is do different gallery events for the students as well, so this way people can come on out and check it out. But no, it was really great, and that was incredible. It was a wonderful night, but we want to do that for the students as well, so this way they can feel that sort of specialness, you know, that when you work in the industry and you get to see your work for the first time, it's really an incredible feeling. But we also put together different yearbooks for the students as well that we can also showcase their work. But as far as doing these sort of things, that's something that I want to do as well. And so we actually have a business club, and they're developing something. We also want to do a convention at the school, very small. We're not thinking anything that's going to try to rival, you know, the huge shows, but it's a way of getting the students experience, getting them out there, setting up, and learning how to interact with people. So I think that's really cool.
All right, now let me ask, since you have so much invested in the school, what about your side hustle with the comic store? I mean, it all wins in the end, but how are you expanding that? Are you just like, it's going to be there? Is it also like a sort of a base of operations too?
Well, yeah, the comic shop is wonderful. All of these places, and the school also has an art store as well. And it's a fantastic art store. All the different wonderful sorts of paper, pens, pencils, everything you could ever think of, brushes, paints. It's all there. But all of these businesses have incredible staffs. The faculties are incredible. And that's what's really important. It makes my job easy. You know, it's difficult, but it's easy because I can always count on somebody else to help out, and everybody that's there believes in the place. You know, from the teachers to the maintenance crews to the regular staff that's in the office every single day. We all love it. You know, the place is only as good as the people that are there. Other than that, if you were to take everyone out and you take all the desks out and everything, what do you have? It's just a building. But everybody that's there loves it, and we believe in it, and that's so important because it's contagious then.
Right.
And that's the same
In a
thing
good way.
everywhere.
In a good way.
Yeah, and
Right.
I think that that's a testament to what Joe created.
Are the artists becoming professional, doing their things, working to sell comics? I mean, is there a way to enhance that? I mean, so that they're prepared for the outside world, they're prepared for, like we were talking about, the business world aspect of it, whether it's just comics or whatever, you know.
Well, I think this is a
elaborate.
very interesting time in terms of comics.
Yeah?
I know that, you know.
Can you say a little bit more about that? Why is it
Yeah,
so
yeah, of
interesting?
course.
Yeah.
You know, you start thinking about things like Kickstarter. Okay, yeah, that's been around for a while, and that's been an interesting tool that these creators can use. But now there's also the Patreons and all these other sort of funding sites. And I almost view it as like a second golden age in a weird way.
Yeah.
Because it allows creators an avenue to put out this work and to get people interacting with it. Even, you know, online-based cartoons, comics. It's another way to get your work out there and in front of people. It's never been so accessible as it was. And you can actually make a living doing this. So I think it's very interesting, and it's a way that you don't have to rely on just the big two or these other companies, because you can get your work printed. You can get it out in front of people.
Yeah, they could get the pre-sales going on there. If people have the interest for it, they cannot be denied.
So, I mean, if you believe in what you're working in and you put out a good product, that's key. You don't want to put out a bad product, okay? So really put in the time. Don't half, you know what.
Yeah.
And
so the school
and put
prepares
it
you
out
for
there.
that.
Yeah, it does. But just everyone in general, I think it's important for everyone to know, is that it kind of goes back to that working hard aspect of it that we instill at the school, is you got to do good work, okay? If you put out something that's a sham, people are going to know it's a sham, and they can see it that way. And it's not going to work. But if you are dedicated to it, and you put in the work, and you put out a good product, people will respond to it. Because everybody wants you to do a good job. I don't think anybody out there wants people to do bad. You know, who is that sad person that wants you to do bad? You know? So if you guys
Haters
work
gonna
hard, yeah, haters going to hate, but you know what? Let them. Because you laugh at the top. So you work hard, you do the good job, and people will respond to it,
Right
and you'll
on,
do
man.
awesome.
Now I have a question. There's not an age limit for people, the students for the school, or is there?
Well, you have to be at least a high school graduate or
Okay.
have a GED in order to be able to apply. Once you apply to the school, we'll set up a date where we'll do an interview, we'll do a portfolio review. If you don't live close by, we can set it up by phone or Skype, and we can do a review that way. And then what we do is we all consult over it. We have to go bring it to our little board within the school. And then once we're done doing the review, we'll let you know whether or not you were accepted, and then we get you all set up.
All right. So I also want to throw in, who's Mike Chan?
Oh, Mike Chen's one. He's the assistant director at the school. Mike's been there for forever.
Okay.
He's incredible. He oversees all the teachers. He's great. He's a wonderful asset to the school.
Cool.
And then our main director is Carol Thomas, and she's just been absolutely incredible. She works so hard. Like I was saying, everybody that's there loves it. And
Right
I tell
on.
you, we all work just as hard as the students think that they're working, and even a little bit more so.
They always say, if you
But-
love what you do, it's not like
you
working.
do. It's 100% true. Because look, I'm telling you, it's hard, but it's worth it.
Cool, man. All right, well, let's hear from Zeea Adams, who's going to get our people that are going to do the Q&A.
Hi, guys.
Zeea.
Hi, guys. So if anybody has any questions. Yes, all
I
right,
saw
let me come
questions
over there.
All right, get it.
Let's have your question.
My question is, you mentioned something about illustrators and storytellers. What is the difference?
So an illustrator is someone who draws a nice picture. Okay, you can draw a nice image. That's great. A storyteller is someone that can convey a story with the pictures. Does that make sense? So when you're drawing a page, right, and usually you have a script, you have to convey that story on the page, right? Okay, so now someone that might be drawing it might just draw a close-up of a headshot here instead, or it'll be very static. They're not conveying the story properly. It could look wonderful. It could be a beautiful headshot. But if that's not what was needed and it's not conveying the story whatsoever, you kind of failed at your job. So, but a storyteller is someone that's able to take what's there in the script and implement that through their artwork and get that point across. That's what's important. It's not, when you have the story, it's not important about being the most beautiful piece of art. It's conveying the story. That's your job. Because if I look at a page and the story's not there, and I don't know what the heck's going on, I'm going to put that book down and I'm not going to read it ever again because I don't know what the heck's happening. So you just ruined the whole story. You took me out of the book. Now, when I read a book, if you're reading a novel, you're reading a comic book, you want to be lost in that world. You want to enjoy what's happening. You want to be there. And if you're not, you ruin the whole experience for me. So that's the difference. You have to be able to convey that story, and that's what a storyteller is.
Right on. All right, cool.
And your question?
Yes, I was. You mentioned how you were creating opportunities for people who may not be in a position to commit to the longer three-year curriculum or whatnot. Are there any opportunities in the summer times or down times for like intensives for people that may want to test it out before considering a longer term?
Yeah. So what we do is we do offer, right now it's called the summer camp. I would like to change the name to more of a summer intensive because that's what it really is. We do intensives really on basic drawing, inking, storytelling, superheroes, all sorts of things like that. So it's really geared towards what you want to learn. And we offer these different things that way. So definitely check out our website at kubertschool.edu, and you can definitely take a peek at everything that we have coming up and how we do those sort of things. And if you ever want to come out just for a tour and see what we have going on at the school, see what we offer as far as night courses or these correspondence courses, we're always happy to invite people out, bring them in, walk them around, show them what the school's about, and hopefully you find something that you like.
Wow.
Okay. This gentleman here.
My question is that one of the things I found what artists usually deal with and struggle is real life responsibility and, being passionate about the things you draw. How do you deal with that, real life responsibility, families, education, responsibilities, and, just being passionate about the things you draw?
So that's a really good question. And I think it's really important that people have to have an understanding of how to balance real world with work. Because it's very easy to get caught up in work and you kind of lose track of everything else. But I have a very set schedule. I don't like to work, I also draw on top of this. So, while I'm at the school, it's, I'm working there from, 8 till about 5 o'clock. Then usually before that, I try to sneak into the comic shop earlier than that in the morning, and I'll change out all the money and whatnot. But I also have to get my kids ready for school, and I'm getting them dressed. And then, I'm getting their lunches ready, and my wife and I, we make sure that we're always there for them to make sure we're bringing them to school. So this way they have that sort of nice dynamic of, I want them to know that I'm there for them. And then when I'm drawing, I make sure I don't draw past 10 o'clock. I think even around like 9 o'clock. Once you get past that, at least for me, I think, I start to stink after that. It's horrible. I can't really focus. And honestly, I want to relax at that point too. I want to be able to sit down and talk with my wife and see how her day was. Because it's important, you have to be able to strike that sort of balance. But
Because I think there's a lot of artists out there that will go that extra time and it'll deteriorate
it's
their
not
health.
worth it. Next thing you know, you're just walking around in the middle of the night just drinking coffee just for the sake of waking up, the next morning real early and going in and telling your friends, oh, I pulled another all-nighter. Yeah, well, how much work did you get done?
Quality of the work. Right.
So that's another thing that it's really up to you and how you want to focus on it. But be structured. Be realistic again. Don't take too much on that you shouldn't be taking on. And just do what you can. Okay? I know that sounds really simple, and it's like, oh yeah, just do what you can. But I think once you get really deep into it and you start seeing, all right, what's my deadline like? And, I got to bring Avery and Liam to Taekwondo tomorrow morning, and, I want to actually go out to dinner and see friends and family. You very quickly start prioritizing things and setting up your schedules accordingly, and you will.
One more question.
Well, actually, I'm going to add something to that. You will also find times where you can add drawing into another activity.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you're around your friends that also draw and you're talking, there's no reason why you can't pull out a pencil and paper and collaborate on a piece, because there's no one person here that can't learn something from the person next to them, whether it's you, whether it's you, whether it's you, whether it's, you know, a
We
kid.
tell the students all the time at the school, talk to the person sitting next to you.
Yeah.
Show them your artwork. Get some feedback. It's so incredible to be able to get this sort of feedback from people, because a lot of times when you go home or you graduate from the school, it's just you. You're working in a vacuum.
And your
you know?
teacher isn't the only person you can learn from.
No, you can learn
Yeah.
so much from just that person sitting right next to you. I always show my artwork to my wife. She's not an artist, but I love getting feedback from her because she's honest.
Mm-hmm.
She's the person that'll come into a shop and pick something up and say whether or not she likes it, And that means a lot, to be able to show something to her and her tell me, that looks really good. You did a good job on that one. Because that means, hey, you know what? The regulars out on the street are gonna like this. So I think that that's a really cool thing. But definitely take advantage of always being able to talk to other folks and getting some feedback from them.
Right on. All right,
Okay.
one more question.
One more question. This lovely lady here.
Hi. With everyone working dead-end jobs and especially with the pricing of New York housing and everything like that, I was wondering what the prices were of like the dorms and like the classes and everything, and also if you're hiring.
Well, I'm always looking for talented people. But as far as pricing goes, I would suggest taking a peek at the website. Go back to the kubertschool.edu. We have all of our tuition and pricings. Everything's up on there. It's very easy to access and see. We try to make it as clear as possible so you can see what's going on. It's cheaper than going to a regular 4-year school, and I think that you get a much better education than what you're coming there to get. It's still expensive, but we offer financial aid and everything else that you could think of.
Right on. Financial aid if you qualify.
Yeah, but it's difficult. I understand. When I was a student, when I first applied, I couldn't come to the school the first year. I remember I couldn't get the money together, and it killed me because I wanted to go so bad, And so that year, I worked as a bartender. I worked all year, all the time at night, and my wife really supported me. She was really the backbone throughout everything. It really made sure that I was able to get through it. But I worked really hard to make sure that I got to the school. And then when I got to the school, I still worked. I worked at night to make sure that I could pay my way through. And everything that you do because you love it. You gotta really believe in what you're doing. And maybe I'm just a crazy person. I don't know.
Right.
But if it's something that you really want, you'll make it happen.
All right, thank you so much. And you're going to stick around for the next the challenge?
Yeah, I can't wait.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Anthony Marques.